All right, everybody. So, hello. It is Topic Tuesday. And today we're going to talk about perfectionism in ADHD. So, a lot of people with ADHD tend to struggle with perfectionism. And some of it comes from this trying to overcompensate for maybe when we haven't done things, perfectly at one other point in time. Maybe trying to prove to people that we're good enough. Um, I find that in a lot of cases it is trying to just prove we're enough, right? The problem is that there's no such thing as perfection, and we know that, and yet we still keep trying to do that. And these are different ways that perfectionism can show up. So, um, all or nothing thinking, right? Either I have to do it perfectly or I'm not going to do it at all. We also tend to have a pretty rigid, um, what's the word I'm looking for? Like mindset in terms of we don't allow ourselves flexibility to be flexible in terms of how things turn out or how to go about the process. Um, we have terrible self criticism about what we're doing. Um, and this causes us also to procrastinate a lot. The procrastination also kind of stems from the all or nothing thinking. Well, if I can't do it perfectly, then I really just shouldn't do it. And I know I need to do it, but the perfectionism is not letting me do it because if I can't do it perfectly, I don't want to do it. I know for myself, I sort of viewed when I didn't do something perfectly, right? That I know this sounds really strange, but like that I was getting in trouble. And the feeling of getting in trouble for me is painful. To this day, it's still painful. And I know part of that is stems from like emotional dysregulation on some level. But to me, when I do something and it isn't perfect, sometimes that's what I equate it to. Do any of you do that too? Or is it just me? It's very possibly just me. Um, and what I have learned is to use the mantra of it's about progress, not perfection. Because progress is taking little steps. Taking little steps, even if they're not perfect, it's okay. Learning to live with things not being perfect or not always going well or messing up or getting in trouble, as my brain likes to think of it. Learning to kind of go with it is, it takes practice. And it is not something that I think comes naturally to us. But as a result of my becoming less confined by the perfectionism that I was always trying to achieve, especially when I was younger, I feel like I'm much better now at kind of letting things ebb and flow. Not always. I do still tend to be a little inflexible, but I feel like it is, I feel like better things have come into my life because I have allowed myself to just make progress and not needing to be perfect all the time. So, for those of you who kind of fit into this category, just remember that, first of all, there is no such thing as perfection. There just isn't. And as much as we think we're being judged when we're not perfect at certain things, one of the best lessons I ever learned was that people are rarely, if ever, really truly thinking about us, which I know in one way kind of sounds depressing, but they're worried about what you're thinking of them, is what it really comes down to, right? And when we allow ourselves to mess up and have a sense of humor about it, mess up or not do something perfectly and be like, well, all right, I learned a lesson on this one, to just be kind of open to that, I think we give permission to other perfectionists around us to do the same. So I'm going to encourage you, if you are a perfectionist, to notice where that tends to show up in your life, kind of get curious about it, and see if you can start to look at it differently. Okay, so I didn't do that perfectly, but you know what? I learned this and this. And now it's going to go in an even better direction, right? Or, yeah, I totally screwed that up, but you know what? It is what it is. Sort of my other motto. It is what it is. Because you can't undo these things, right? Um, but really just be curious. As people with ADHD, we are actually naturally very curious. Get curious about it and take in some deep breaths and let them out. Because I know some of you are thinking about it right now and getting really anxious just even thinking about it. And take some deep breaths. And then the next time you do something not perfect, I want you to try to find the humor in it or find the, not a big deal about it. Okay? And if this is something that you have already learned to do or are learning to do, and you have some strategies that have worked for you with this, please put them in the chat, because this is something that really impacts so many people with ADHD. It's like insane. And so many of us don't realize it. And I'm always looking for new strategies and new ways of looking at things as well. So I would love to see them as well. So I hope this has been helpful. And again, it isn't about perfection. It is about progress, just taking one step at a time and just doing the best you can. And that's it. That's all anybody can expect of you. All right. And I'm trying to think if there's anything coming up soon that I should tell you guys about, probably, but I can't remember what they are now. Anyway, I hope everybody's well, and please put your comments in the chat because I would really love to see what you guys have tried. Bye.